became a very shallow and redundant way of looking at it. It's much, much more complex than that. But you can see that, like, even asking that question, you know, comparing the power of Mana Cyclone to do what you can do with Mountain Giants is kind of an absurd thing to think about in the beginning. But sometimes it is. Sometimes it's just game winning.
Fino now with that 1-2 punch that he brings in from the secondary deck with the Halftime Scavenger and Conjurer's Calling. That's a turn he's going to be looking for.
Yep.
And for Seiko, it's, once again, pressure your opponent and see if they stumble.
And we might just see Fino play his curve to get there. Yep, that is exactly what we're going to see.
I don't get it, but I do.
2-2 on 2, 2-4 on 3, 3-5 on 4.
This does prompt, I think, one of the stronger turns for Seiko, though. I think he was eyeing towards Evil Miscreant. I've seen him tend to prioritize that. He's going to look for the strongest way to use this coin.
I wonder.
You know, it is just a 2-2 on the other side.
It is, but it's about divining what that 2-2 means. Like, why did your opponent play that 2-2? What's his game plan from this point? Like, can you get the read that he's intending to curve out more aggressively with minions from this point? Because if the mage is doing that, you kind of want to do the same thing as the rogue to be able to shut them down early on.
I think it's a tough call to make because one of the things that most aptly comes to mind for me is my opponent would pay Mana Cyclone, so that way they can stop me from playing Fairy Dragon.
Yep. It's very true.
And now that you don't have a 3-3 in play, how do you kill the Stargazer Luna?
That's the big kicker, right? Is if Fino is just going to continue his curve here.
Way less impactful in Seiko's deck.
Yes. If Fino's just going to continue his curve, the 3-3 on board was just a far more threatening opportunity. Evil Miscreant is Evil Miscreant, and without activating the Miscreant with the coin there, he was going to struggle to do it for several turns after this point. Hello.
Wow.
Hello.
Behold the tools of
Wow.
creation.
Fino, I think, does have some interest in simply a trade in Conjurer's Calling here.
Agreed.
Do you need the payoff from Luna further when you've already drawn a card? And you picked up a card draw effect from it. It is hard to not draw cards, though.
Behold
That's my favorite
the
thing to do.
tools of creation.
This one that matters. No, just the Mana Cyclones. The chain stops. First turn, this turn, that Fino has not just developed max stats onto the board.
I think when you have two Sea Giants fighting for board here, yield some payoff. It forces Seiko to fight right back. Look for the turn where you get to slam Giants.
What?
Oh, how ironic.
It's just Faceless Lackey number 1. Look, Sorcerer's Apprentice. Faceless Lackey number 2, Mana Cyclone. I know it's called Faceless Lackey, but it doesn't mean you just have to copy your opponent. That's not how that works.
Look, the way I look at it is these are the cards that have been beating us, and we've recruited them to help. I mean,
I guess that's fair.
we got to get something.
Yeah.
I imagine that reaction is to the Khadgar Conjurer's Calling that's now in hand.
Something like that, yeah. If not this turn, then very, very key in the near future because Fino, because he played his curve early, because he fought aggressively for tempo, he's now in a relatively stable position where he can play a slow card. 4-mana 3/5 stealth is very, very slow by the standards that the game is played at. And then kind of leverage that into Khadgar Conjurer's Calling the turn after if he would like to. Looks like where he's heading right now.
As long as it keeps
I mean, you
out
brought
of-
these cards in for this purpose. This is what your nuts hand looks like.
Yeah, but like the point I want to make clear is that you also have to understand how you play the deck to move towards that position, which, you know,
Can't
Fino,
play it passively.
yeah, Fino just threw away all his cards, just got them on the board, fought for tempo as aggressively as he could, and what that did is it bought him breathing room, it bought him freedom, it bought him that extra bit of rope that he needed to just play 4-mana 3/5 and not be under big pressure, and then because of that, this happens.
And contrast that with the previous game where he held on to the Sorcerer's Apprentice for as long as he could. Wow.
No, not impressed. You did not see the last series. Conjurer's Calling, How Master Shaw, Vargoth.
I did see it.
What?
I did see it.
I'm sorry, if you want any reaction from me for the rest of the day, that's what you've got to beat, okay? That's vanilla. That's nothing.
Oh, it's something.
Yeah, okay, it's something. You're right.
It's 12 attack and 20 health.
And it freezes Waggle Picks.
It was 5 mana.
Nah.
Yeah.
Nah.
Yeah. I said Seiko's good at fighting back from behind, but this isn't really behind. This is just like Feno's approaching the finish line. You just need him to trip.
Hey, by the way, 0 mana Sea Giants next turn, potentially. In case you weren't already scared enough.
I'm very scared.
Sea Giants back to 1, Sea Giants down to 0. How much is Seiko going to respect it? How much can he respect it? I think the Khadgar has to go down anyways. It's just a natural byproduct. Those Sea Giants are going to rest at 2, which means this turn is equally, if not even more powerful than the previous one for Feno.
He could play 4 minions this turn if he wanted. Ziliax comes down. I imagine the Mana Cyclone's getting held in this spot. Yeah. Double Sea Giants. And how on earth does this game get away from you? Thinking about betrayal positioning.
For sure. Betrayal, playing into a betrayal here is definitely one answer to that question. And then everything else is kind of out of your hands at that point. Like, you eliminate what you can play around, and you just bless RNG and hope that Created By does not find Seiko some tiny, small fraction of a % to get out of this.
And you're at 15, you have to fight back on board.
Yeah, Seiko just having to trade 8/8s with his Edwin Van Cleef. How many games of Rogue have you won where you've had to do that, Admirable?
0.
How many games of Rogue have you won?
0.
Okay.
That's about how many I think Seiko's going to pick up in this series.
9 more pushing through. A fireball from this Mana Cyclone could end the misery, even if Seiko were to find outs to the board. Doesn't get it. But there is still 11 more facing down on board. Seiko face frozen, board frozen. That eviscerate the first piece of removal that comes into his hand. He's going to go digging for a dream. What?
8 armor. Is 8 armor enough? 14, you get to kill a 3/4, and then you're facing down 8 points of damage. Ice Cream Peddler.
Sweet treats for shrunken heads.
He beats Hunter Ace in the previous round, and he gets rewarded with ice cream to find his way out of this horrible position. Excuse me?
He's just not dead. I mean, he doesn't really have anything left, but he's not dead.
Why, that's step 1. It's better than where he was before that Ice Cream Peddler appeared.
Can Grifta do anything too? Like, what can you generate from Grifta that makes a difference in this spot?
More Ice Cream Peddler.
What to do?
Oh, jeez.
Well, I mean, you gotta find something more than Ice Cream Peddlers. This is a Giants being Conjurer's Calling. We don't have time for tasty treats.
All right, take 2, Seiko. Pull one out of your hat this turn. Can I interest you in a nice Frost Nova?
There's a customer aboard every minute.
Nope. Also, no. And I think that is going to do it. Seiko puts through the ringer. You can see what it means to Feno. Seasons-long ambition. Finally, as the emotions get on top of him, he is going through to the global finals at BlizzCon alongside Surrender from the APAC region earlier in the day.